We caught up with journalist Jordan Chariton at the Left Forum. He laid down some heavy data. However, there was a technical malfunction, so there are missing pieces of the interview. My apologies to Jordan and the viewers. Roll it. Okay, ready? All right. I'm here with Jordan Chariton. Right now, I guess you would say you're an independent journalist, but you were formerly affiliated with TYT. All right. Before we begin, I'm just curious, as far as having any influences, are you guy like a Hunter S. Thompson kind of guy? Was that kind of independent journalism that inspired you?
I don't think I could handle as many drugs as he did, but on the journalism end, absolutely.
Right.
What I like about Hunter S. Thompson, he had a great quote that there's no such thing as objective journalism.
Right on.
I think journalism has kind of been hijacked by corporations, and it's been put in this kind of fantasy straitjacket of neutrality, which there isn't such thing. I mean, I've been on the road enough to see that the corporate journalists are essentially just public relations people for empire and oligarchy. Hunter S. Thompson was definitely a role model to me. I never met him, but Matt Taibbi today, I really like with Rolling Stone. Political figures from Henry Wallace to Eugene Debs to obviously Bernie Sanders, MLK. But I kind of just do things in a way that are not scripted and more raw, speaking with people rather than pundits and plutocrats. And I think that's what's sorely lacking.
Yeah, I mean, would you say, in your opinion, do we still have a democracy or any vestiges of democracy left, or has the corporate coup d'etat, is it complete and we're living in, as Sheldon Wolin said, an inverted totalitarianism?
We have an illusion of a democracy, but not an actual democracy.
I wouldn't even go that far. I'm saying, are there any democratic institutions left in the United States, or is this a complete totalitarian state?
No. When you look at it, I mean, the vote, to me, is rigged more by corporations and the media and suppression, election fraud, you name it. So when you think of democracy, you think of the right to vote, voting being free and fair elections. I don't think we have that from what I've seen. I also don't think, frankly, we have freedom of thought. I mean, we're basically being brainwashed subtly and very directly by not just cable news outlets, but from print to like faux progressive digital outlets. So that lack of freedom of thought, dialogue, and kind of a herd groupthink mentality that in many ways comes from the gatekeepers. I mean, Google and Facebook are doing more to both censor but also manufacture consent, as Noam Chomsky brilliantly put, than anyone else.
I'm going to go beyond that, and I like your comments. Yes, Chomsky manufactured consent, but are we in Orwell's age where possibly we're in the Ministry of Truth, they rewrote history? Are we where, because of Google and all these other corporate platforms and internet companies, they have the ability to go in and basically scrub history? Are we actually entering beyond manufacturing consent, but more into Orwellian territory?
I'd agree with that. I mean, if you look at it, we have this kind of fantasy painted by media outlets that America's some shining city on a hill, beacon of free hope. I would like it to be that, but I mean, we've basically been the spearheads. We have spearheaded the murder of millions and millions of people all over this country, basically for our own geopolitical interests, from coups to wars. We're in God knows how many bases all over the world. Not to mention, what we fled Great Britain for. What are we doing to our own people here? I mean, you have people protesting in places like Standing Rock and Ferguson and Detroit, getting shot by police. You have people now in some of the states, it's becoming a felony to protest. Natural pipelines, but from pipelines to other things, free speech, both on the journalism end and the protest end, is being criminalized. And we basically have a corporate election system. I mean, sometimes you could slip in a more populist, progressive candidate, but then they get co-opted. I mean, a lot of ball with the very people that she ran against. So to answer your question, yeah, I mean, I think what is fascism? It is the merger of the corporate state with the government, and we have that in many ways. And one of the precursors to fascism, if you look up the definition, is censorship. We have that in droves, from independent media to Google deranking, to Google, Facebook, Patreon, now kicking people off, even people I disagree with. So yeah, I would say it's closer to that 1984 definition.
All right, one last question, and I'll wrap it. I know you're busy. You said you support the green vest. Just explain what that means. How do you define it?
I joked with my audience, yeah, I support the yellow vest. I would personally call it a green vest because, frankly, green, I think the main problem in this country, well, there's many. In the 1980s, actually starting more in the 60s, 70s, but in the 1980s, it's the whole greed is good mentality, and it basically became a country, I call it the United Corporations of America, where it's the economic Hunger Games, social Darwinism, SOL, if you don't come from money or have donors or special interests on your side. So that green vest is more